Hello there, it's Paul here and welcome everyone. Now, I haven't recorded any videos for at least a month now, and the main reason for that is I've been doing a few jobs around the house, all outside. First thing I was doing was actually replacing all my fencing outside, and we have the concrete posts and those drop-in cheapy panels, flimsy panels that really last just a few years before the wind batters them to pieces and they all fall apart. I had ideas from both of my neighbours, both sides, on what to do for those. First of all, my neighbour on one side, he basically took the panels out. He made his own frame from 2x2, 47x50 sawn timber, and then he used feather edge boards to panel it all over the top, which looked really nice. Now, my neighbour on the other side, he replaced all of his fencing, and he actually ripped out all the concrete posts, which I wasn't going to do anyway. Replaced them with wooden posts, which I thought was a little bit backwards, because they're only going to last for so long. But he's used solid 16mm thick boards. So I decided what I'll do a mixture of both. I'll keep the concrete posts. I created my own 2x2 frames to drop in the posts there so that they fitted nice and snug, and then I boarded them with the 16mm solid boards. Same time as well, I also then redid my gate. That was also done from feather edge boards. It was quite flimsy every time it banged, and I made a frame, I think it was from something like 100 by 25mm or 100 by 30 odd mil timber, and just the actual Z frame alone was quite a weight before you then started getting all those 16mm boards on. To finish it off, I just put the clasp on the top and just used one of those spring things as well, because my kids have a habit of opening the gate and never shutting it, and at least this way now the gate shuts every time. We decided we wanted to go back to having chickens again. My next project was then to buy a coop. I had some timber left over from doing the fence. I also ordered some more timber and then constructed the coop. Also needed to do a run with a roof on it. Now, to finish off the coop, I decided what I wanted to do was actually put some handles on it. Originally I was going to buy some from Screwfix, but because we're still in this pandemic, supplies are an absolute nightmare to buy from a lot of places. So that's why I decided to then look to see if I could make some form of a wooden handle out of the 2x2. Now, if you follow me on social media, you'll have noticed that I think I put a picture of this one up there, which was my very first prototype, just to see what it would come out like. I wanted to see what it would be like to have your off-centre turning for the handle part there, to whether it would be suitable. And I decided, yes, that's going to be fine. Straight away, because I turned this straight down to the ends, I needed to really get this end off-centre up on the top here where the material had disappeared in order to finish this end off. So that's why that became my very first prototype. Now, the second one I did, as you can see there, I've kept the ends on there, which means that you can use all of the end there for where you want to get it off center, and it works really well. The only issue I had with this one, again, the handle area slightly a little bit too thick, even though it's more than acceptable. The only issue I had there is because I started this off truing it up a little bit when it was central. I've actually rounded the bases off a little bit there. So the third one, which the making of this will follow shortly in a sec, is where I've come up with the final one there. And this is just straightforward 2x2 timber, which is what I'd use to make the coop and the fencing with. All of this was done with the skew and the small parting tool, and the only reason I used the small parting tool was just to take those areas down on the inside there and on the edges here, just for then where I could then do the shaping with the skew. With the skew, really good finish. I did do a little bit of sanding on this piece of handle here because I got a little bit of tear out, but on the end here, where with the off-centre turning, considering you're also turning a lot of air, there's no sanding on there whatsoever. And all I would usually do just to finish this off was probably just sand these sides up a little bit and just take away any of the sharp edges on there, and then that way you can then screw that straight away to what you want. Following next will just be the making of this. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm starting off here with a bit of 2x2. In the UK we call this 47x50 sawn timber. All of this will be done off centre, and I've also set my calipers here at 12.5mm, and again this is down to personal preference as to how thick you want your handle piece at the top. So all I'm going to do is use my calipers here just to put a line on the top, a line on the bottom, and do the same for both ends. So I have lines there, and they might not show on the camera, so I'll just put a line on here, so hopefully they show on the camera. And the only thing you then need to worry about is center point. That way and again, it's not important, but it just makes things easier. And you can also, for ease, use your live center just to poke those holes in initially, so I can see where I need to put these. So I have 2 holes at each end, both at 12.5mm from each side. The first part of the turning I'm going to put it so that it's the same side on both ends, so that we'll call this the top. We'll have the top on the live center and the top on the drive center, and I'm just using a step center here. It's my larger one. It doesn't matter, you can use an ordinary 4-prong spur drive, anything which you're got and happy to use. Good thing about the step center is if it slips, if it loses grip, it just does this, so it doesn't come flying off or anything like that, because you've got that point, sprung loaded point in there holding it in place. So this part that's sticking out, which is the bottom end, is the part we're going to be turning first. And what I tend to do here is I will mark a measurement there of 80mm and 180mm. So we've got 80mm from the end at each end. So yes, this is a piece 260mm long, which is about 10.25 inches, and these 2 marks are really for where I'm going to have the handle, so it's just really sort of like the width of your fingers. First thing I'm going to do is just use the thin parting tool. You can use an ordinary parting tool just to take these down. I want to get it so it comes down to, so it's more or less to the point of where it's running true. And it doesn't matter if I don't do it first time, because I can always deepen that later. Speed wise, I tend to prefer to get this, because of the such off center, around about 1250-ish revs, and I may well increase that a bit. So just in on the line, so I've just gone all the way down there. I've not come all the way through, so I've still got a little bit further to go. And that's nearly there, but I'm not going to bother about that too much at the moment. I'll wait until I've actually removed a lot of this excess material. So just do the same for this side. And that one's about the same. Turning wise, I prefer to use the skew here. I just find it a lot quicker and easier. You're trying to get that better finish to start with. No reason you can't use any tool that you like. So I'm just now going to take out all this material here to the point of where we true it up for the handle here. And again, still the same speed, still at 1250. I might increase that a little bit more. Just increase it a little bit more to just get rid of that. Now, I hope you can see there, this is why I like to use the skew, because you do get that lot nicer finish there. And I've now reached where I'll put those two lines. So I'm just going to now extend those so that they cut through to the centre here. And just stopping just to make sure you don't go too far. And that's just how I like it, just so it's just gone through there. And that one's fine as well. So I'll now just take the rest of this down, right down to those lines again. Just need to even that up a little bit. I've got a little bit of a bulge there, and what I tend to do as well is I will just do a little cut, sort of like a little groove on the end there, but that's just down to personal preference. So before I do that, I'm just going to taper off the ends here. Right down. Got a bit of a chunk out here, just need to tidy up, but that end is really nice. So that's the first part done. That's the actual handle part done. And I would just sand this up normally, but because I've got such a good finish on here, I've got a little bit of tear out here. Just going to use some old Abranet paper I've got here, and because it's so good, I may have just used the 120. So just turn the lathe speed down a bit, and so I can just keep the tool rested here in place. I'll just put the lathe in reverse, just easier. So that's come up quite nicely. So I've got my handle there, and it's there as a nice size. So this is now where we change things. So this first part is now finished. What I need to do now is now bring this end off center. So this is where I've got the two marks on the end here. So I'll just keep the headstock at the same point, and the tailstock move to the other mark I put in. Now you've just got to be careful here, because depending on how strong your material is on these joints, if it's too thin, this is going to warp and just snap under the pressure. So you can't have your tailstock in there too tight. You just want it enough to hold to drive. What I do here is I will then put a mark 60mm in. So that's about 2.5 inches. And this time again, just take it down with the parting tool. So this is where the step centers are good, the pressure has just come off a little bit. Just tighten up a little bit. And that's probably about as far as I want to go. And all I'll do now with the skew is I want to take literally from this point here down to there. And I want to keep this last bit on here because when I reverse this around at the other end, I need the live centre to be in on the top here, so which is why it's important to keep this bit of waste on the end here. That's quite nice, and that doesn't need no sanding up whatsoever. That's really, really nice. But this end point is then where I'll cut off with the bandsaw. So that's finished. Again, if that was rough, I could just sand that up. But I'll take this out now, and where this has been the top, I now need to put this end as the top, and this end as the new hole at the bottom. Now this is where you have to be careful that you don't over tighten this, because if you put too much pressure on all these joints, especially if you've gone fairly narrow here as well, will just cause the whole thing to buckle and snap. So again, I've just got enough pressure to hold it on the stem centre. Again, I might have to just alter it as I go along, just tighten it up. And I'll put another mark on there at 60mm. And just take that down with a parting tool. So we should be at similar distance, might be a little bit more to go off there, and I'll just take that down again. So yeah, that's absolutely fine. And again, a really, really nice finish on there, no sanding whatsoever. So that is literally completed as quick as that. And all I'll do now is I'll just go to the bandsaw and I'll cut these ends off, and that will be a handle completed as quickly as that.